welcome Kate Gordan to the Fit Side. So my name is Maz. What I'm trying to do with this channel is to get a bit of a female presence in the CrossFit media space, especially online on YouTube. At the moment, we only have male bloggers, and I really want to be an advocate for Australian CrossFitters especially. So I love chatting to the people that we have in our country and stuff, and I really want to share what we have in Australia. I have been wanting to chat to you for a while because I absolutely love following your stuff. It is the best content I have ever followed. And you don't just focus on one thing. I love it how you literally go from CrossFit to periods to sex to porn to open relationships to controversial stuff, and you're not afraid to say what you want and your opinion about things, and it is so refreshing. It is awesome. So thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited.
So I've got a few questions. Okay, so tell us about your CrossFit history. I know you've been in the sport for quite a while, and obviously you're still competing. You recently just competed at Torreon on a team for Frankston. And then also last year you competed as an individual ACC, and then previously before that I believe you were on a team the year before that as well. So you've obviously done team quite a bit, and you've also done individual based competition, and I mean you're still very competitive, so it's really awesome to watch, especially your strength stuff. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, I'm definitely lifting is my strength. I love a barbell, but I think it's a reflection of just my size. I'm not a tall human being, but I guess I'm a tall CrossFitter. Yeah. So a tall girl, big upper body, it makes for a good lifter. So those events always suit me quite nicely. But yeah, in terms of competition, my first really competitive event was team at regionals in Southern California in 2013. So that was my first sort of high level competition. And then team at the 2015 regionals, which we qualified for the games. And then team again at the 2019 sanctionals. Gosh, I can't even remember anymore. Yeah, sanctionals, and it was a team that, it was when people could be in a team from outside of their affiliates. So we had one team that went through for sanctionals, and then we dropped off 2 members and had a new team for the actual games. Yeah. And then, I've done ACC individual and then another team this year, and I really enjoy team. That kind of keeps me going and keeps me motivated, I guess. I enjoy that element. Yeah. And prior to that, I was really a coach. Coaching was my love and my passion, and I really wasn't that convinced that I was a good enough athlete to compete, which was very much a mindset thing. So I think a lot of people are probably in that position where they probably have the potential and just never tap into it because they're like, oh no, it's probably not going to be me, and it's like, hey, you're the only person holding you back. But yeah, so I coached for about 5 years prior to actually competing properly.
Oh really? Wow. So when did you actually start CrossFit? Obviously it was quite a while ago you started competitive. So then before that, when did you actually start CrossFit?
I've been CrossFitting for 10 years. So I started 2011.
Oh, nice. I started in 2012, I think.
Yeah. I think there was a big influx of people around 2010 to 2013. Yes. And so you talk to a lot of people who are from back in those days, right?
And it's interesting to see how much has changed over years. I just remember when I first started CrossFit, no one cared if the gym was dirty or messy or anything, it was just beers after the workout. Yeah. It was almost like a hangout with your mates and stuff. And then it's really interesting to see how it's evolved over time. And now it's this boutique kind of fitness regime, I guess, and you go into these CrossFit gyms and they're so nice and so pristine, and it really is amazing to see where it's changed. It's incredible. So yeah, I think it's exciting. So
yeah, I think my first affiliate was this tiny little basement of an office building, and it was tucked away in this funny little building, and it was just the bars were just welded on to the posts. It was just you just didn't even have facilities that could have equipment brought in because equipment didn't exist. It was people were making their own stuff, and it was I think I love the way that they were called boxes because they really were just boxes. They were just on the outskirts of the fitness industry, on the outskirts of everything, and if you managed to wander into one, then you got pretty lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're also a CrossFit Seminar staff member. So how did that all eventuate?
I actually applied to intern while I was in the US. So I started coaching when I was living in the US when I graduated from uni over there and stayed over there working for a while. So I got into coaching over there. And then before I moved back, I was sort of thinking, oh, you know what, when I get back into Australia and New Zealand, it would be really cool to do that. I had a friend who did their level 1 and they were like, man, like you should be one of those coaches. And I was like, you know what, that would be kind of cool. Like that would be a really amazing experience. And I was like, I'll wait till I get back to New Zealand. And one of my other friends was like, what do you mean you'll wait? Just like ask them now, message them now, get on their radar and find out what the process is. And so I just did. I just literally inquired about what the process was. Like, hey, tell me about it. Like, how do I apply? And then they ended up being like, hey, well, let's get you your level 2 and then let's get you interning and we'll go from there. So it kind of just happened like pretty quickly, especially at that time. Like they were bringing in a lot of people. There were really packed level 1s and level 2s and it was just like full steam ahead. So yeah, I got thrown into it pretty quickly, which was cool. It's an internship process that took me about it was about 5 or 6 months, and you complete a seminar as an intern, and then you go if you either get the job or you proceed to do another weekend or you get recommended to take some time and refine your skill. So yeah, I did 4 weekends and then eventually got offered a job.
That's so exciting. Like that'd be so good. I don't know. That's like the dream job, really, isn't it? Inside CrossFit to like get to coach amazing human beings, like at a weekend, and you get to meet so many new people and people from different backgrounds and everything. And like I've done my CrossFit Level 1 and then I resat it maybe 2 years ago, and then like it's just an awesome experience. Like when I first went for my CrossFit Level 1, it was pretty much the exact same the second time, but obviously they had like refined things a little bit more, but it still felt the exact same. And I was like, this is so great that it's just like so good. And like I'm a physical training instructor in the Air Force, and that's how I've got all like a lot of my fitness knowledge. And then I got into CrossFit from that. And I honestly learned more in that one weekend than I have ever learned on anything else that I've ever done. And so many of us PDIs who go and do that course, we all say the same thing. And when people say, oh, I want to get into fitness and stuff, like the first thing I say to them is go on a CrossFit Level 1 course. You will learn way more than what you'll ever learn studying your Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. Like it is in depth.
That's our most common piece of feedback. And I think, it's just the material is delivered in such a way that it's easy to understand, it's easy to apply, and it makes sense. Like all of it makes sense. And I think that was what I remember about my experience. I just remember sitting in the nutrition lecture being like, of course, oh my God, of course, this just is like, it makes so much sense. And it was like, you just connect all these dots and it all comes together really nicely. And yeah, I just think the delivery, the way that the whole weekend is structured, it's like, even, I've been to some really good courses that you got a lot of information from, but it was one person standing at the front for 8 hours for 2 days. And I'm like, man, there was no breaks. There was no movement. It was just like this like fire hydrant of information coming at you. And you're like, I just can't do it. So yeah, I just think the weekend is really, like you said, it's the same core material, but we've refined it and we've refined it from people giving us feedback. Like we used to do squats and pull-ups and thrusters all before doing Fran at the end of the day.
Oh,
and
yes,
people
I remember that.
Yeah. And it was like, you'd get to the end of day 1 and people would be a mess. And so eventually we figured out, okay, hey, let's not do like pull-ups and Fran on the same day. Like, let's break that up a little bit. Just, little things that make sense. But, it's like, you've got to get the feedback to figure that out. So yeah, it's been a really amazing process.
One thing I did notice, but is that when I went on my CrossFit Level 1, like obviously probably 2 years ago, the nutrition stuff I felt hadn't kind of moved any further. They still really spoke about just the zone diet and stuff. And like I personally thought that they might have spoken about a lot of other things and like adapted their nutrition thing. But I understand like obviously you can't fit everything into one weekend. So they talk about the most one that anyone could follow and anyone can understand. You don't have to really worry too much about like weighing and measuring food so much. But I really thought that was interesting. Like I was expecting to go in there and think, oh yeah, it's going to be like, like when we work with, say, the Method or M2 Performance or something, where they talk about macros and all that stuff. So like they did touch on
evolved now. It's changed since we've last done it. Yeah. So again, the core of the message and the basics around like, hey, eat quality food and eat in the right quantity to support your goals. That's consistent. But yeah, now we incorporate. We don't like, we still talk about the zone, but certainly not to the same degree that we used to. There's been quite a big shift because prior to macros hitting mainstream people in like the Gen Pop and like, God, it's probably only been like mainstream for a few years, really, like where people have got access to apps on their phones. It's really, really simple, super straightforward. Like that's been a fairly recent phenomenon. So the zone was the only method to really weigh and measure. That kind of made sense. So we held that for a long time, and now we talk about the zone, we talk about keto, we talk about paleo, we talk about intermittent fasting, as well as macros. So we don't go into depth, but we touch on how they work and what's happening and kind of the reason you would use different diets.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like I think that's very beneficial for people as well, because obviously if they're already following the zone diet and learning a little bit more about something else, like I personally know nothing about keto, for example. So next time I go, I'm going to learn about keto and how that works and stuff, like, unless of course I do research before, but I mean, I don't really have interest in doing keto, so I'm probably not going to go look it up. But so for me, I'm looking forward to going on, like, again, I mean, I think I'll do level 2 next time. So.
I was going to say, I'm not going to let you do your level 1. If I see your name, I'm going to be like, no. We need to email her, get her onto her level 2.
I wanted to do it for such a long time because we owned our own affiliate for like nearly 6 years. And then I was just like studying at uni at the same time and everything. And I've graduated uni now at the end of last year. So now I have heaps more time, whereas I was still at uni and then trying to run our affiliate and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I don't have time to like try and study a whole new thing and get on top of it. I mean, I'm sure I could probably easily know everything.
Yeah, I think people assume that the level 2 is going to be like a more advanced, more hard test version of like the level 1. And it's almost the same principles of the level 1, where we hone in on the fundamentals, like the principles of like the material is the level 1, and then the principles of coaching is the level 2. So the cool thing is that you can, and don't quote me on this, okay? You could walk into the level 2 totally unprepared and take so much out of the course. And the test for the level 2 is now an at-home open note test, like open book test.
Is it?
So so it's a fairly straightforward like testing system that we've been changing and playing around a ton with on the level 2 recently. But we've gotten to this point now where it's, hey, you do the full course, that we get all the time that we need for every day with you, and then you go and do the test within 2 weeks after the course later, or within 4 weeks or something. So the level 2 is like, it's really more like if you're coaching, and this is what I say to people, like if you're coaching a lot, do the level 2. If you're not coaching a lot and you're just interested in the material, keep doing the level 1. But if you've just been an affiliate running classes, you have everything that you need to do the level 2. So it's very much like, hey, you're essentially running someone through a squat or a push press, or you're going to teach them the deadlift, and you just got someone watching you. And as much as that's like, oh, it's so simple and straightforward, when you've got someone watching you, it's terrifying and it changes everything. But it's really, really good. Like putting yourself in that uncomfortable environment and getting that feedback and having to work through like, speed bumps and things like that, and the barriers that you might have or you can come up against. Like it's a really nice process to go through.
Yeah, nice. Okay, I'm definitely keen, because that's like what they do on the AWF weightlifting course, the first one. So level 1 is just about learning the movements and stuff, and then level 2 goes into like teaching other people the movements. And then when I went on level 3, it was all about programming and structuring for like higher level athletes and stuff like that. So it was interesting to see how like it stepped people through rather than trying to like teach people how to coach from the first one. So that'd be awesome. I definitely want to do my level 2, and I'd love to do my level 3 as well. So obviously I love CrossFit. So I mean,
you're like, I'm all in, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
I mean, I've been drinking it for a long time now, so and I know
Yeah.
it's coffee. Oh, question: how did you come up with that CrossFitter with a sign idea?
I totally stole it. I'm the most unoriginal person in the world. Like the guy, dude with the sign. Have you seen that account? Dude
No,
with a sign. So he'd been going pretty viral at the time, and I'd seen a couple of his signs, and I'd seen other people doing the signs as well. Like obviously not dedicated accounts, but they'd been doing a post that had like them holding a sign with whatever was relevant to their profile. And so I did a sign just that I posted on my page. And I was like, you know what? I should just see if someone's taken this handle. And if someone has already like got it on Instagram, then whatever. But if they haven't, like I'll just save it and like maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. And
yeah.
so I just started sharing more posts on that one, and it just picked up very quickly. So yeah, I just kind of have, and look, I haven't been super consistent with it. Like every now and I'll go through phases of like posting a ton, and then I won't, and then I'll post. It just requires a little bit of like, I have to be thinking about it constantly to come up with like different things, which I'm like, sometimes I sit down and I'm like, I have so many ideas. And then when I have to try and think of something, I'm like, I have 0 ideas. So, but yeah, totally unoriginal.
Because I actually thought of one the other day and I was like, God, like it would have been a great sign for you to put up, but I can't
You
remember.
got to message me. You got to send them to me. Don't tell me what it is now. I can't let people know. You got to message me. Like people send me messages like when I'm active on it, people will send me ideas pretty regularly, which is good.
Yeah.
It helps me.
Because I remember I hadn't actually followed your page when you're at ACC competing.
Yeah.
And then I saw you up in the stands with that one saying, just wash your damn hands or something. And then
Yeah.
you then did one in front of the rigs. And I was like, what is this that she's doing? Like, I don't, and then everyone was like, no, you've got to follow her page. And I was started following it. I was like, this is the best content ever. Like so good. And it's just so basic. Like, and it really hits like every, like the point or whatever you're trying to come across. And it's awesome. Like,
yeah, it's like what's going on inside every coach's head, I think.
yeah. So on your page, right, you're super, like this is on your personal page and stuff, you're super open about sex and periods and sex talk and open relationships and stuff like that. Like, talk me through like how you have developed like the confidence to speak about that stuff on such a public level, because it is rare, like so rare for anyone. And then when you put that video up talking about the sex toys, I actually learned a whole new thing. I did not know that there was like, I just thought there was vibrators. And then
I know.
it's like something that like clit or something. And I was just like, this is so good. I need to go to the sex shop and start looking for stuff because this is interesting.
Yes. I had like the response to that video was just golden. I need to do another one. Like I think I need to keep doing more posts because most of the stuff that I talk about is generally just, it kind of happens in my stories because it's when I'm talking about random stuff and it's not necessarily a post that I'll put out. But that was the first time that I made an actual post of like sex toys that were good. And yeah, I had a lot of people that were like, I thought I was looking at some kind of like muscle massager. And then about 3 minutes in, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So lots of funny messages and lots of people who have also been like, hey, PS, I bought that. I bought this. My partner and I bought this. Like, it's been amazing. And I'm just like, thank you. This is what I want. People need this.
Yeah.
But, I just think progressively over the years, I've been more and more open about things that I'm going through. So like, it's always very much like what I'm doing, where I'm at and things that I'm discovering. So I think some of the first stuff for me was when I was talking openly about losing my period and binge eating. I started talking a lot around like I broke up really badly and just had like really terrible adult acne about 2 years ago. And so just starting to talk through like the process that I was going through with trying to overcome some of those things. And then on top of that, I started coaching nutrition. And what you realize when you're coaching a lot of people, like, I mean, in the 2 years that I was working for the method, and since then, now I've started my own nutrition coaching business. It's like you're talking to people about very personal stuff. And everyone's going through the same thing. Like, and you just get this overwhelming sense of we're all in the same boat. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Maz in Australia, or if you're Kylie Jenner in the USA. It's like everyone's got insecurities. Everyone's worried. Everyone's thinking about what everyone else is doing. Everyone's trying to do more of this and trying to make sure that, it's like everyone's just going through the same stuff. So I think what happened is I suddenly realized that no matter what I said, I'd never be alone, and I would never not connect with people about it. So I started to just share more and more and more, and people would be interested and people would ask questions, and I just started answering them. And then, it kind of took a life of its own. So it's just something that I think, like, you've responded to it. You're like, man, you just talk about so much stuff, and it's like, it's so good. Like, people are never like, oh my God, that's awful, that's disgusting. Like, if they respond like that, they don't follow me, which is quite simple. It's quite a nice filtering process, really. But so it's just slowly become, I share more and more and more based on starting with some little things around how I ate and my period, and then slowly evolving into the relationship that I have. So
Yes. I was going to ask you about that, because what does MDM stand for?
Mr. Date Man.
Oh.
So when I first started seeing him, I was just posting about dates that I was going on. And so I think I just started referring to him like I think I posted about like, oh, I'm getting ready for a date. And then the next time that I went and saw him, I was like, I'm going on a date again. And yes, it's with the date guy, like the date guy that I was with last week. And so then eventually it just became, so I'm with Mr. Date Man again. And then it was MDM. And then, I don't think he'll ever earn his real name, because it's just like, it's so much easier.
So you're in an open relationship with him, and you've obviously stated that quite a bit on social media and stuff. What thought process and how did you guys have that conversation to decide to have an open relationship?
So that was something that on my own, I'd been thinking about a lot before I actually met MDM. So I'd been dating a few people and like kind of in and out of relationships. I'd had a couple of long-term relationships and some really just short, kind of like just fun things. And the experience and the pattern that I noticed was every time I got out of a relationship, I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm single again. Like, oh, thank God. It was like this really weird, like, I'm like, I probably shouldn't feel this stoked about getting out of a relationship, and it was regardless of how it ended. If it ended well, I'd still feel like yes. And if it ended badly, I'd still be like, oh, thank God. So I kept on having this experience of like, I really like having my time and my energy to myself. Like, I'm a very independent person. I'm very autonomous. I like to do my own thing. I don't know if loner is the right word, but I just like doing my own shit. Like, I'm just very much like, I get busy doing my stuff and I really enjoy it. And I think also doing CrossFit and having a sport that you're passionate about, like, I put a lot of time into that. So it does take up a lot of energy. And if you're with someone that's not invested in the same things, it kind of drags your energy away from the stuff that you want to do. So I just would find that I'd probably compromise in the things that I wanted to do in relationships. Yeah. So when I realized, I was like, look, I'm a little bit all or nothing in relationships. I really like being single. Where is the intersection between these two things? Like, there's got to be a way. And I remember following a couple of women who just ran like general sex positive Instagram accounts, and they started talking about solo poly, which is solo polyamory, which is basically someone who uses the label that they are single and are also polyamorous. So they're single and they'll date multiple people, they'll have multiple connections that might be important, significant connections, but they're just not invested in any one connection, and they're not with anyone like long term. There's no primary partner. Yeah. So I just kind of started learning, like, it was almost like this new language of like, there's all these words and there's these terms like metamor and compersion, and it was like, oh my God, there's this whole world out there that I'm like, what the fuck is like this whole community that I'm like, oh my God, I just didn't know it existed. So I started to listen to a bunch of podcasts and just follow more people and try and find resources and all those kinds of things. So by the time that I started talking to MDM on Tinder, I immediately, like, one of the first conversations we had, it was just around like relationships and what our histories had been and where we were at. And I just kind of remember talking to him about solo poly and that kind of triggering a little conversation. And it was like, what's the kind of dynamic that you'd want in a relationship? And I think at the time I was like, I don't think I'm really looking for a relationship. I think I'm looking to just like enjoy connecting with multiple people. Because I was getting to this point where I was like, I seem to be dating to meet someone to be in a relationship. Yeah. So I'm not even dating the person. I'm just dating for this end result. And it means that I don't even see the person. It's hard to actually get to know someone when you've put all of your requirements and specifications on top of them, and you're just trying to make them fill the boyfriend or the husband shaped gap in your life. And it's like, you don't even understand who that person is until it's, you know, and the experience I'd had is I was like, the relationship would get to a bad point right before it ended. And I would be like, man, I don't even know if this is the kind of person that I want to be with. Like, how did I get here, kind of thing. So I think when I was dating at that point, I was like, I don't want a relationship. I want to invest in connections that seem important and seem valuable to me. And it's people that I can have good conversations with, people that I can train with, people that I can hang out with, and almost serve different purposes in my life. So I wasn't looking for one significant connection. I was like, I just want to meet people and see where it goes. And if it's someone that I like hanging out with, I'll keep hanging out with them. And if it's someone I don't, then I won't. And it could be one person, it could be a friendship, it could be family. You know, it was just a little bit of like, I don't want to base my success in life and my romantic life on having one significant relationship, when in fact my life is being served by so many connections, whether it is my friends or my training buddies or my family or a partner. It's like they can all benefit me. And I think I do myself a disservice by thinking that I need one special relationship to make me happy, because it's just not the case. So we had those kinds of conversations very early on, and it was just very easy. Like, he's pretty I guess he's pretty familiar with a lot of that stuff and that terminology and just the lingo and the community. So it was pretty easy to talk to him about it.
Oh, that's awesome. So like, obviously it's so different to what normality would be like and stuff like that, but yeah, like, it's so cool to hear someone have a different vision of where their life is going to be, and obviously not be locked down to someone, and really, like, you know, openly speak about that stuff.
Yeah, let me tell you honestly, talking about it publicly and on social media and having to be outspoken about the shit that I'm going through has brought me to a level of understanding of myself that probably wouldn't have happened without it. Mm-hmm. Just having to express it and having to verbalize and articulate the things that I've experienced and try to make it make sense for other people. You know, I guess it's what they say when it's like, you learn, what's the phrase about teaching something, you learn it twice. It's kind of that experience where when you have to talk about it and you have to get what's in your head out into words that other people understand, it's like more and more things click for me and fall into place for me as I talk about it. Like, I have a lot of light bulb moments in situations like this where I'm doing a podcast or I'm talking on social media, and it's like, it's become a tool now that I actually take full advantage of. So sometimes I will even record myself in a story or on social media and not even post it, because it's just, I just need to talk it out. Like, it literally is like, I just need to talk it out as if someone's listening to me, as if someone's going to watch it, and it makes me figure it out.
So I was talking to Royce the other day on a blog thing with him, and I'd never really spoken about my past and stuff. Anyway, I had a kid when I was like 17, and I was still in school, and anyway, I started chatting to him about it on the vlog, and like, that's kind of like the first time really publicly spoken about. Like, I've talked to people in person, but then I had a really shitty, like horrendous upbringing and stuff, and I've never actually spoken about it. It's like, oh, I just need to take like a day off and then maybe just film myself telling the story, because like, I've never publicly spoken about it. Like, the only person who really knows is my sister, and like, I've told my husband some of it and stuff, but like, not all of it. But I was just like, my story could help someone else, and I think that, you know, like, I've just got to be like you and have more confidence. And I think that's a message that you are sharing with a lot of people, like, especially talking about stuff that no one talks about. Like, people need to be more confident and share their things. And, you know,
it's the other way around though. It's the other way around. So it's sort of like, do you understand when people talk about they need to be motivated before they work out? And in fact, it's the other way around. They have to work out and then the motivation comes. So we say action manifests motivation. It's the same thing with confidence. So you don't feel confident and then start doing things that a confident person would do. You start doing the things that a confident person would do, and then suddenly your confidence builds. So like, I was not a confident person. I was a performer because that was my background. So I was good at presenting well, but it didn't mean that I was confident whatsoever. But I've built confidence in being vulnerable. You know, they talk about vulnerability actually being an expression of courage, and it builds courage. It's the same thing with trust. You don't trust someone immediately. They have to, it's almost like you have to put something at risk. And then when they when they come through with what they said they were going to come through with, then you build the trust. So it's like you have to take the risk and then the trust comes. You have to say the scary thing and then the confidence comes. You have to take action and then the motivation comes. All the feelings that we think we need as prerequisites for the things we do are actually things that come as a result of the action we take.
You should
become. So what I'm saying is you will get confident the more you start to open up about it, because suddenly you'll realize that your message is important. People connect with it. The things you're saying help you connect with it. Like it's one of those amazing things where, and the experience that I've had, people are like, oh, I really want to like do things like you're doing, and I want to be on some of that stuff, and I want to be confident like you, and I want to da-da-da. And I'm like, you just have to start kind of doing it, and you'll get there. Like, it's just like, yeah, there's no, you're going to get to a point and then be ready. It's like, you just have to do it and then it will happen.
Okay. Well, like I said to Royce, that was like a stepping stone. So now this is a stepping stone, and eventually I'll get there. So run me through the clean and jerk ladder at the Touring Pro. Like that last barbell, oh my God, that clip of you doing that Fikes took, incredible. I was like, and when I was watching it, because I wasn't there this year, I was just like, this is so good. Like, I wish you were in the individual women and did that. Like, it was just incredible to watch.
It was a gift that we didn't have to squat clean it, because I cannot squat clean that much. Everyone was like, man, your power clean's amazing. And I'm like, the secret is that I actually just have no other choice. I have to power clean it because I can't squat clean it. So I hit 111 at the Down Under CrossFit Championship in 2019. So I knew that was my 1RM, and I knew that I'd be able to hit it. I hadn't lifted that heavy and literally since the Down Under CrossFit Championship. So it was a little bit like, I don't know, but I usually perform well when when I have that adrenaline. So I knew that, on the floor, the nerves for me translates to adrenaline. So I'm like, I know that I can do well, and I always thrive on the floor. So I knew that I'd kind of go in feeling confident. It wasn't a squat clean, so that was the other thing. And then the media team in the corrals behind the curtain before we were let out had been like, guys, can you just give the crowd something? Like, they'll give it back to you. You gotta feed them something. Like, come on, like put on a show. Like, come on, please.
Stop.
Yeah. And so like, I'd gone out there knowing that I was going to do well. Like, I knew that I would finish it. I didn't know if anybody else was going to finish it. And all I kept hearing was the guy on the mic, Kobe, on the microphone being like, no one's finished the barbell yet. No one's made it to the end bar. And I was like, fuck yes, this is me. So I just decided to be like that cocky athlete and put on a show and just like, take on my alter ego a little bit and just go out there and put on a good lift and clear all the barbells. Rob Forte, who was coaching the team, he said to me, he was like, hey, Kate, just lift every barbell. That's your coaching advice. Just lift all the barbells. And I was like, copy that. Thanks, coach. So it was an epic moment.
Yeah, it was like awesome. I wish I had been in the stadium during that, because it would have been amazing to watch in person. So it was so cool to, especially when you like really got the crowd into it. You kind of like, and that's what I saw at like the games, like with the snatch ladder. I remember how Royce and Gwyn were going through, and like he's got that same kind of personality, just gets the crowd right into
Royce is good for that.
Yeah. Well, not Royce. It wasn't Royce. It was Gwyn who was doing that. So Gwyn,
the Brazilian guy?
Yeah. He was hyping up the crowd and stuff.
Well, I feel like Royce at Torium Pro is usually pretty good. He usually does like a come on kind of thing. Like, he's usually pretty good at like, just because I think the thing when you're competing is you actually forget that you're being watched. There's so many things going on. And even though the audience feels like what's going on is you're competing and we're watching, what's going on for the athlete is I'm competing, there are other people around me, I'm being judged, I have movements, this hurts, this is really hard, where am I, like where are other people, like, so the audience is blacked out. You don't even see them, you don't hear them, it's just the person next to you and your judge basically in the equipment. So I even watched the video back and realized that I hadn't registered that there were people behind me. So my feedback for myself was like, okay, well, next time, like, take in the people, don't forget about those guys. There are people back there as well.
But no, that was awesome. So tell me about your new podcast. What are you going to be talking about on it? Like, have you released anything about it yet? I know that you mentioned that you're doing a podcast and stuff, and you're still deciding on a name.
Yeah, I haven't made any further developments with the name, but it'll be something. So I think at the moment it's going to be an extension of the Q&As that I do on Instagram, and it's going to be with MDM. So it'll probably be a little bit around sex and relationships, and even like he CrossFits, and we talk about periods and hormones, and he's well versed in men's hormones as well and things like that. So it's like it's very easy to talk in a similar way that I talk on social media with him. So I think it'll just be a bit of an extension of that. And yeah, whether it's taking questions from people or just talking about a topic, I'm kind of going to let it be whatever it is, and just kind of go with it, and let the conversation kind of unravel and see what people like. Really, I think is kind of the best way to do it, to just let it shape itself by what people enjoy. But yeah, so it'll be September, and yeah, I'm slowly making a plan, but I'm just excited to do more stuff. I like talking. I was trying to do emails, but I find sitting down and having a conversation a very easy, straightforward method to get the things in my brain out. Sitting down and writing is much more of a process. I really enjoy writing, and I love doing that, but it's just a much more lengthy process.
Yes. I find that sometimes when you write too, you overthink what you put on the page, and it doesn't come across the same way as if you were trying to talk about it. Plus, people can't read your emotions when you write stuff on the page.
Yeah. And I'm someone that will write a lot. Like I can just word vomit. Like I can write for hours, and then condensing it is what takes the time, because I don't want to give people everything in my brain, because it's not even necessary. It's like one of my favorite phrases is the perfection is not attained when there's nothing more to add. Perfection is attained when there's nothing left to take away. So that's my goal whenever I write. It's like I'll word vomit, and then I try and take away everything I need so that you just get the fundamental message.
Yeah.
But it takes if I wrote a book, it would take me fucking years.
Yeah, I think that what you're doing with having a podcast and stuff will be awesome. I mean, God, your stuff gets such, like, people want to ask questions and always want to know what you're doing, and and you're helping them answer kind of questions that they're too afraid to ask. So it's just really awesome. Like, for example, like with the sex toys, like so many people I saw commenting on there saying, oh, I'm going to go out and buy this, or I didn't know about that. That's how I didn't know about some of the stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I need to go shopping. Yeah. No, I think it's a great idea what you're doing, and I think it's very refreshing. So, and I love that, like you've got this big following, and like there's a lot of CrossFit people who are like obviously benefit from your page. Like anyone who follows your page, they're going to get help with their sex life. They're going to get help with their nutrition. They're going to get help with their lifting. They're going to get help with their mental space. And I've learned so much stuff. Like with you doing that ovulation thing, I was like, I thought you were trying to have a baby to start with. I was like, is she trying to get preggers? And then
it's been interesting. It's like as I'm learning about it, I'm just posting it because I'm figuring it out too, and other people are like, oh my God, that's unreal. And I'm like, yes, right, this is amazing. Like the things that we can figure out about ourselves.
So it's awesome to see. So what are your plans for the next season? So this season coming up?
At this point, my current plan is to do team again. I live a little further away from the gym that I used to. So it's been a little bit of a drive, and it's just kind of been a bit of a barrier for training. And I've just had a lot of stuff on, and training's kind of not been my biggest priority. So I think I've got probably got another 6 to 8 months in me to just like keep going to the gym, keep up with the team, and keep training with those guys. Although with lockdowns and things, like I've definitely lost a little bit of fitness and lost a little bit of strength, but I mean, that's okay. Everyone's kind of in the same basket. But so yeah, plan is to do Frankston team again next year, and then who knows what. But yeah.
Hopefully qualify for the games.
Yeah, that would be good. Although the teams that qualified this year, they were phenomenal teams, man. They were really, really good combinations of athletes. So if they compete again next year, I 100% would see them competing at the games again.
Thank you for jumping on with me and stuff. Anyways, I really appreciate the time and everything. And like I said, what you're doing for not just CrossFit, but for like just people in general in the health world and stuff it's so refreshing, and I really am grateful for the stuff that you put up, because some of it is really beneficial and you get so much out of it. And just listening to some of the stuff you talk about is just eye-opening. And I think I tag some of my friends in it who really could use a hand. So I'm like, yeah, go and watch this, go and watch it. It's so good and so entertaining and so interesting as well. So I think you're doing a great job. And and on the CrossFit side, you're such an amazing athlete. I really hope to see you back out competing next year.
Thank you.
Awesome to see. So yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think I'm good. We've covered a lot.
It was awesome chatting. So yeah. And I said,
thank you so much.
With the channel, I just really want to break into that YouTube space and stuff and get a female presence out there. Can't just have men doing everything.
100%.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll let you get back to your busy day. And yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed for you guys. You guys don't have any more lockdowns.
Yes.
I mean, I live in Victoria, but right on the border, so it doesn't affect me as much, which is great. But yeah, God, I felt sorry for you guys. So I hope you guys don't get locked down again over something of ridiculous amount of numbers. But yeah, so yeah.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Bye.